Now, the UN Security Council is also convening today to discuss the situation on the ground in the Middle East, most notably developments in Gaza and Lebanon. For more, we speak to our correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease, who's monitoring developments for us. Sherwin, welcome. What more are we learning about the possible ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon, and what, if anything, can be said about a long-standing agreement between Israel and Hamas in Gaza?
Well, just based on what the Israeli ambassador said there, that this process was moving forward. U.S. officials are quoted in various U.S. media reports that we could get a ceasefire agreement announced between Lebanon and Israel within hours. We also understand, Mfundo, out of Israel at this hour, confirmation that the Israeli cabinet will meet on Tuesday to discuss this proposal that in principle has already been accepted by the now indicted, ICC indicted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Reports out of Lebanon this hour also suggest that there are no longer any serious obstacles left to prevent the beginning of the implementation of this US-brokered ceasefire. This Mfundo will entail Israel's military withdrawal from southern Lebanon and regular Lebanese army troops deployed in that border region. Remember, this is the border region south of the Litani River, which is supposed to be a demilitarized zone monitored by the UN peacekeeping mission UNIFIL in that region. But what we have seen since the attack on Israel and the subsequent war in Gaza, Hezbollah has been firing rockets that has displaced people in northern Israel, and Israel's response has also displaced hundreds of thousands of Lebanese in the south of Lebanon. And so the hope is that with the implementation of this agreement, those displaced people on either side of the border will be able to move back, and it will allow them some sustainability moving forward. But as we say, and as we've talked about, ceasefire agreements, be that with Hamas or between Israel and Lebanon, it ain't done until the fat lady has sung here. So we'll see what emerges out of that cabinet meeting, but certainly no further progress on any deal between Hamas and Israel as it relates to the war in Gaza, despite a Security Council endorsed US proposal that has been on the books since June of this year. So no movement there. We might get to a ceasefire in Lebanon first.
All right. Now, Sherwin, has there been any reaction in the Council to the decision by the pre-trial chamber of the International Criminal Court to issue arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister?
Strong words today in the Middle East meeting that is currently ongoing from the likes of Israel, from the United States, that have their position towards this pre-trial chamber decision that was handed down last week, indicting and issuing arrest warrants for Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant, but also parties to the Rome Statute, also members of the Security Council. I've put together the differing views. This is a taste of what came out of the Council meeting today.
The ICC has abandoned its mission of justice. It has reduced itself to a political weapon, targeting democracies while turning blind eye to the atrocities of the world's worst regimes. This is not justice. It is diplomatic terrorism. Now Israel is a target. Tomorrow it could be any nation that values its sovereignty. The ICC's actions are a betrayal of the international system and a mockery of the principle it was founded to uphold.
The United States fundamentally rejects the International Criminal Court's decision to issue arrest warrants for senior Israeli officials. We have been clear that the ICC does not have jurisdiction over this matter, and we are deeply concerned by the prosecutor's rush to seek arrest warrants, as well as troubling process errors that led to this decision. Moreover, this decision does not make the pursuit of peace any easier.
Following the developments of recent days, as a firm and committed supporter of the ICC, Malta will abide by its obligations as a party to the Rome Statute.
This move gives hope to Palestinians and free people around the world. Algeria stresses that this measure represents an important step and tangible progress towards ending decades of impunity and immunity for the Israeli occupier. They were not being held accountable while they continued to commit their crimes against the Palestinians, the states, and the peoples of the region. We stress the need for the international community, specifically the states party to the ICC, to implement this decision
And Mfuno, just to make the point, right, the United States and the State of Israel rejecting the ICC's jurisdiction here, but it's worth noting that the judges of the court in various judgments have now pronounced themselves that they do have jurisdiction when it comes to alleged war crimes or crimes against humanity that have been perpetrated in the occupied Palestinian territories, which includes the West Bank, Gaza and East Jerusalem. In addition to that, we are seeing a very strong sentiment emerging out of the United States Senate in particular. We talked a bit about this last week. Lindsey Graham, a senior Republican senator from the state of South Carolina, saying this on Fox News on Friday to an ally like Canada, Britain, Germany, France: if you try to help the ICC, we're going to sanction you. If you're going to help the ICC as a nation and force the arrest warrant against Bibi and Gallant, the former defense minister, I will put sanctions on you as a nation. You're going to have to pick the rogue ICC versus America. So the United States making quite clear whether you're an ally or not, a number of allies, including Canada, the United States, South Africa, parties to the Rome Statute, and therefore bound by implementing the obligations that have come down from this arrest warrant. The United States making clear that you would be against us were you to do that. So more to come on that in the weeks and months ahead, particularly when Republicans take control of the Senate next year.
This is honestly quite concerning, because many would see it as quite the imposition here, because you've got sovereign states and you're saying if you decide to act, then you would be going against America. Most certainly a lot to come, Sherwin.
I mean, this is a real test for the international legal system, international humanitarian law. I mean, the judges of the court here have basically affirmed this court's jurisdiction. And as South Africa will well know, whether it be in the case of Omar al-Bashir, as it relates to the genocide in Darfur, or the crimes that Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has been accused in relation to Ukraine, there are obligations on parties to the Rome Statute, legal obligations.
Yes.
Now you have a sort of an extraterritorial threat from the United States saying, if you now obey the law that you are bound to, you're going to suffer penalties from us, unilaterally so. So how a united Rome Statute member group responds to the threats that are emanating from the United States remains to be seen. But the United States is long known for having a big stick and a big economy, and they use that to bend people to their will, be that people or nations, and we're seeing that play out now.
Very interesting times. Sherwin, thank you very much for that reportage. That's Sherwin Bryce-Pease, our SABC News correspondent in New York for us.